Okay, we're going to look now at this idea of a fixed regime, but a specific example. And I'm going to look at it for the case of Estonia, a small country in the Baltic, the previously part of the Soviet Union. They were fixed on the euro after 2001, up until I think they adopted the euro around 2010 or so. In any event, let's look at the first case where, by chance, let's say, Estonia's exports increase faster than its imports, meaning, say, net exports grow faster. This would mean that euros, if we think in terms of current account or capital account, euros would be coming into the country, goods and services would be leaving more than previously. The extra euros within the country would put downward pressure on the exchange rate, on E. So this would be the kroner price of €1, except Estonia has a fixed exchange rate regime with the rest of Europe. So as a result, the Estonian central bank would have to start buying euros with newly printed kroner. As a result, this would be, in effect, an expansionary monetary policy. The Estonian price of yogurt would go up. This, if you think it in a classical sense, this makes Estonian yogurt less attractive. That means to say now exports from Estonia would go down, be cheaper to buy things from abroad. Imports would go up, and there'd be balance re-achieved. Notice that the official reserve of the Central Bank of Estonia would have accumulated euros. That's in case one. Let's consider case two, where, for example, for some reason, Estonia imports increase more than their exports. So as a result, net exports decrease. In this case, there'd be more goods coming into the country. There'd be financial paper leaving the country, meaning, say, euros would be leaving. Fewer euros would be coming in, or euros would be leaving Estonia. This would put upward pressure on the exchange rate, on E rather, the kroner price of €1. But E is fixed. So in this case, the Estonian central bank would have to use its official reserves to buy the kroner to maintain the fixed exchange rate. This, in effect, is a restrictive monetary policy, causing the Estonian price of yogurt to go down. This makes Estonian yogurt more attractive. Exports would go up, imports would go down, and we'd re-achieve a balance. Some point to consider about this case too. In order to maintain a situation where the imports are rising, the Estonia would need a large warehouse of euros, and it might be useful to have an agreement with the European Central Bank in advance so that if their official reserves were being depleted, the Estonian Central Bank could go and appeal to a loan from the European Central Bank. The other thing too about this case too is that, in effect, by applying a restrictive monetary policy, the small country could be forced into a recession. And note too here, rather critical aspect to it is that they're expecting the domestic price to go down. If prices are sticky or slow to decrease, it may force the country into a recession, waiting for the prices to fall. An alternative solution in case two would be simply to move to a flexible exchange rate regime. In that case, very quickly, the currency would be devalued, making the local price of goods relatively inexpensive compared to external goods, and this would correct the problem more quickly. Countries frequently do this, moving from a fixed exchange rate to a flexible exchange rate. I want to now just take a quick glance at the foreign exchange market. We'll start with the general idea of a microeconomic market where we've got the price of, for example, milk, coffee, or gasoline. We've got a supply curve and a demand curve. But now we're going to be looking at rather the market for a foreign currency, let's say US dollars. So same principle, but you'll notice on the vertical axis now I've got E, which is the domestic price of 1 unit of a US dollar. And we've got supply and demand curve, but now, therefore, let's say a foreign currency, quantities now of US dollars. Look at this, first of all, a change, for example, many foreign tourists arrive with US dollars. This is, assume, a small country. And we'll also consider the possibility of a fixed exchange rate regime. So the effect of many tourists arriving would mean that the supply curve would shift to the right. All these dollars arrive into the country. I'll call this as two like this. Now, if this is a fixed regime, you'll notice that the E would decrease down here. But since it's fixed, the central bank must intervene to maintain the exchange rate. And so one way of doing this would be to, in effect, buy up these new US dollars by shifting the demand curve to the right, so that, in effect, the exchange rate remains fixed. So this is the first move because of the tourists arriving with U.S. money. The second move is the central bank intervening in the economy, or into the foreign exchange market. This is due to a fixed exchange rate regime. Let's consider the same idea, but with a flexible exchange rate regime. So in this case, same thing. Many foreign tourists arrive, filled with U.S. dollars, let's say, want to see the local sites, and the supply curve shifts to the left as before, but in this case, nothing else changes. We'd simply see that the exchange rate, the currency would appreciate, E would go down, and it would stop there because it's a flexible exchange rate. So that means to say that the exchange rate will rise and fall as demand and supply conditions change.